World-renowned violinist and conductor Sir Yehudi Menuhin returns to the hour of power with the English String Orchestra, one of Europe's leading chamber orchestras on tour from Worcester, England, all joining together to make this an exciting hour of power.
There are not many people of whom it can be said, without exaggeration, that they are living legends in their time. Well, it can be said of Yehudi Menuhin. He is indeed a legend living in our time. We are so honored that he's a friend of us and that he's back with us today. Sir Yehudi Menuhin, God loves you and so do I. Thank you. I suddenly have a question. You are in your ancestry Russian.
Yes, Jewish.
Sir Yehudi Menuhin, but you were born in New York City, right?
New York City, and I'm still American.
How did you get to be a knight, titled Sir?
Well, I don't think the place of my birth has really any particular significance. I might have been born anywhere. I think it was really through music and love of music and interest in other cultures, and simply feeling very, very much at home in England. And my wife being British, school and is there. I think that's how it probably happened. Yes.
Jewish, Russian. Was your father, who was a rabbi?
My father's ancestors, grandfathers were rabbis.
I see.
In fact, a form of hereditary rabbinate.
Many things have been top priority in your life, like education, music, peace. Let's talk for a minute about peace. Did you ever think you'd see what's happening today in Eastern Europe and in the Soviet Union?
No, I didn't dare hope, but I'm so overwhelmed by the fact that people have taken their destiny into their own hands. Now, peace, of course, is not what most people think it is. An easy road where everybody embraces each other and no problems at all, and people live like, I don't know, turtles or doves. But peace requires a very, very great deal of work, a great deal of courage, and because I think that peace represents compromise, it represents tolerance, it represents compassion, it represents a very broad-minded view. It represents really the middle of the road, because man cannot survive by extremes. Fanaticism, fundamentalism, these are extremes. Tyrannical regimes are extremes. Death is an extreme. The imposition of death is a hopeless extreme. Therefore, we are looking for middle roads. And for the middle to be strong is my ideal. Right now, today, we see mostly the extremes getting stronger. But for the middle to dominate, it must be stronger than the sum of both extremes. And we haven't seen that yet.
You are so profound. You really are. I always find you so stimulating. Music, talent, do you believe in it, or is it all something you train in yourself?
Well, I think people are born with different talents, different gifts. We can see it in the animal world. Some people are born lions, others are born turtles. I mean, figuratively speaking, we have different temperaments, and that is the delight of the world. I think we all have the right to develop our talents, and I think music is a birthright. I think music is as much a birthright as air and water and earth and food.
You mean for all persons?
For all persons. There's a music in everything. And if there's rhythm in somebody, and there has to be rhythm, because else we wouldn't have a heartbeat, we wouldn't have a pulse, we wouldn't have...
Are there eternal verities in musical principles by which we can say, yes, this is good music, or that's bad music?
Yes. I think, just as in speech, I think the content, the sense of proportions, the sense of unity of a work, the structure of a work, the quality of sentiment, emotion, intellect that it conveys, all these elements play a part.
Classical music.
Not necessarily classical. Classical is a difficult word because it can imply a period of history, which we don't mean, but it can imply also a quality of music that is still composed today, which is very modern, which may be very avant-garde, too.
How do you react when you see rock music concerts with 500,000 people coming out, and you see a symphony perform, and they find it difficult to pull a crowd?
Well, I find, first of all, that rock music is generally far too loud. And and if you have something of real quality, you don't have to amplify it until the people are deaf to it. And people are getting more and more deaf. The level of decibels of noise and sound increases with every year. And it's sound without signal value. When the Red Indian walked his little path, every sound he heard had significance. When we walk our streets, the sound is simply noise which has no meaning for us at all. And I think that is a loss of significance in life. Therefore, when we make rock music, we amplify it until it seems to be persuasive. But it cannot overcome its essential emptiness as far as actual content, musical content, or thought content. Now, I'm not speaking of the great jazz players. I'm not speaking of the great musicians, whether Grappelli, Oscar Peterson, and many more today, who are absolutely, I revere them, because they can make music spontaneously, they can improvise, they're commanding music in a way that very few classical musicians can command. No, I'm speaking of that, that really empty noise, which is a, how shall I say, it's an escape. It's an escape for millions of people who are looking for escape and who find a common denominator in the release that noise offers them. Because when noise is so loud and rhythm so compelling, you cannot survive as an individual. Therefore, you survive as a mass.
I am not a philosopher of musicology, but intuitively, I have long believed that the instruments like the violin, the cello, the stringed instruments, the flute, and some of these gentle wind instruments, produce by their very nature the kind of sounds that are tranquilizing and healing to the soul.
You're absolutely right. That's one of the criteria of good versus bad. Hippocrates, the great Greek physician, counseled a patient going through convalescence that the best sound, the most healing sound they could hear was the shepherd's flute. Now, nobody trying to get well from troubles of the heart or the mind could possibly improve at a rock concert. Perhaps it's because everyone's so very healthy that they can tolerate it.
Well, listen, we could talk all day. I want you to know that God loves you, and so do I, and you are a very precious, special human being, and no wonder God loves you, and he has shared you with us and with the world.
I've been very fortunate.
Indeed, we are to have you. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Yehudi Menuhin.